Welcome, Patriots. God bless you. Good to see you guys. I hope you're having a good weekend. We're going to take a look at some news, and yeah, of course, there's new theories out there we have to kind of peek at some point in the show. I was kind of hoping to be done with it today, but the guy in the intro made a really good point, though. Even if he broke that gun down before he jumped off the roof, it really doesn't make sense to put it back together while you're on the run. Weirdness, huh? What a world we live in. What a time we live in. Speaking of time, what'd you think about that other guy? He's talking about time speeding up. Interesting stuff. President Trump said he was ready to sanction Russia, but on the condition that all NATO allies agree to completely halt purchases of Russian oil and implement their own sanctions. It's kind of interesting. The Russian oil ordeal seems to be making the price of oil go up. Let's see what Trump said exactly. I'm ready to go and you are, huh? Stop buying oil from Russia. If NATO does as I say, the war will end quickly. You gotta love how Trump speaks, at the very least. We'll take a look at how the news wants to portray it today.
President Trump issuing a blunt ultimatum to NATO countries, saying he's ready to impose major sanctions on Russia, but only if they stop buying Russian oil. Moscow said this week that negotiations to end the war in Ukraine are going nowhere. It also comes just days after Russian drones were shot down inside Polish airspace. We've got full coverage of these developments. With us now is CNN senior White House reporter Betsy Klein and correspondent Nada Bashir in London. Betsy, to you first. Is this another shift in the relationship between the president and NATO allies?
Well, it could mark a shift, but President Trump issuing a major ultimatum to these NATO countries, saying that the U.S. is ready to apply major sanctions on Russia only if NATO countries agree to do the same and to stop buying Russian oil. He said this in a letter to these countries issued earlier this morning. And the president also said in that letter that those countries should significantly ramp up those tariffs on China to 50 to 100%, marking a major shift.
Where would they buy oil from then, I suppose? America? Saudi Arabia? Russia's a pretty big supplier of a lot of those European countries. It's an interesting ordeal. Although a lot of their oil refineries were said to have been getting attacked.
Well, let's go straight to Kyiv now with our correspondent Gulliver Cragg to unpack some latest developments. Ukraine's defense minister, Gulliver, Denis Shmyhal, says that the country will need at least $120 billion for defense for 2026. Defense spending making up 31% of GDP. Now, much of that is going towards drone manufacturing, as that report just mentioned. But just how expensive is it for Ukraine currently to maintain its war effort?
Well, officially spending on defense this year, 2025, is...
I don't know what he's talking about. They're not maintaining anything, not without our money and everybody else's. Man, that protest in London today got huge. Elon Musk even reposted the main post about it. It's kind of a debate what they're protesting, from what I'm gathering, be it Gaza or Charlie Kirk or both.
Well, let's return to events now here in the UK, because this is the scene from the helicopter over central London. Thousands of people have descended on the capital for a rally being organised by the activists Tommy Robinson, Meanwhile, there is also a counter-protest, but as you can see, quite a large crowd has turned up there in central London, waving St George's flags, the Union flag. This is part of a march, a rally, as I say, to effectively what they would see rally people in support of the United Kingdom. It's been described as a free speech festival. We're expecting to hear from Jordan Peterson and Katie Hopkins, but there is also a counter-protest march against fascism and stand up to racism, which is also due to take place.
They're just marching for everything. Racism, fascism, Gaza. Charlie Kirk countered this, countered that. They just felt like drinking in the streets. Why not, right? They sure know how to do it right. A couple things that popped up. Charlie Kirk's wife announced Turning Point's campus tour is still going on. Charlie's podcast will also continue. Ben Shapiro announced that he will step in to replace Charlie Kirk, vowing to travel to college campuses nationwide and never stop debating and engaging in discussions. We will have to see how those two things turn out. More Charlie stuff ahead, but I want to jump around to some news. U.S. Marshals have now been deployed to Utah. According to this is the first I've seen of it. The timing announcement of U.S. Marshals deploying Utah is interesting. Yeah, you could say that. What's more interesting to me is where they're not deploying now.
Trolantani, that's right. We're hearing from people on both sides of the aisle after President Trump said earlier this morning that the National Guard is not coming to Chicago.
We're going to Memphis. Memphis that's the next city. Deeply troubled. And the mayor is happy. He's a Democrat mayor. The mayor is happy. And the governor, Tennessee. The governor is happy. Deeply troubled. We're going to fix that just like we did Washington. I would have preferred going to Chicago. Every weekend, they're losing many people. It's out of control. But when this guy who's
the president made the announcement about sending the Guard to Memphis live on Fox News. Trump had previously entertained the idea of sending the National Guard to Chicago amidst the planned surge in ICE operations in the city, along with recent summer gun violence. This morning, Trump said he had, quote, preferred to send the Guard to Chicago and added that he could, quote, fix Chicago. We spoke with 15th Ward Alderman Ray Lopez, who was a supporter of the Guard being deployed to the city. He says having the Guard in Chicago would have allowed Chicago police officers to better focus on patrolling city streets.
I'm disappointed because that means the citizens of Chicago are going to lose.
So why do you think he's not going to Chicago? There's a rumor about New Orleans as well.
Breaking this morning, the Washington Post is reporting the Trump administration has drafted a proposal to activate 1,000 Louisiana National Guard troops to New Orleans and Baton Rouge. The Pentagon confirmed the document's authenticity but would not comment on them. The plan hinges on Governor Jeff Landry requesting the federal assistance. So far, the Post says no formal request has been made by Landry. Critics of the proposal point to New Orleans' significant drop in crime, with murder rates at historic lows. Plus, some say it could strain Louisiana's emergency response capacity during hurricane season.
Maybe he's just trying to go where they're wanted right now. I don't particularly know. It's interesting. It may just be a play, you know, like these cities want help, this city doesn't. I'm not sure. Maybe ICE is getting what they need in Chicago. Maybe it's just a scare tactic. Make them think I'm coming here or I'm going there. And I don't know. Get everyone to clean up their act. James O'Keefe got a top FEMA chief saying that Charlie Kirk deserved to be assassinated. He calls Charlie Kirk a lunatic. Yeah, it's, you know, there's a lot of this going around. This really stirred up the world, honestly. We'll peek at what James O'Keefe has real fast.
Have you spoken to anybody about the great Charlie Kirk assassination? It's also like, it's tough not to laugh at this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he's a lunatic and like awful and kind of deserves it in his own way.
So how does FEMA feel about feel about Charlie Kirk getting shot?
Everybody's kind of laugh. I don't know. The people that are in charge of this place are like dipshits now.
Fox News reported that FEMA has put an official on leave from their department who stated online that Charlie Kirk was a racist, homophobic misogynist. Now, O'Keefe Media has a new expose on another FEMA official, and what he says about Charlie Kirk shocks the conscience.
I mean, listen, Charlie Kirk getting shot is crazy. Did you know who that was beforehand? The Charlie Kirk guy?
Yeah, he's
a nut. He's awful.
On the night of Charlie Kirk's death, one of our journalists met with a section chief within FEMA named Sean C. Kelly for dinner in D.C. Sean Kelly works in USERA. There's a lot of acronyms in the federal government. That's the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act section of FEMA. We didn't know that existed. In that section, they protect military reserve personnel to make sure they're taken care of during deployment for FEMA. In the first couple minutes of that meeting, the FEMA section chief started to indulge immediately about the murder of Kirk and said into the hidden camera that Charlie, quote, deserves it in his own way. And it's, quote, tough not to laugh at this stuff.
Have you spoken to anybody about the great Charlie Kirk assassination?
No, just my friends.
I mean,
They're sick people. I'm really surprised that James O'Keefe's dinner date moves are still working. More than 1 million people in the Florida area are warned to stay out of the water, but it's not for sharks, and it's not for hurricanes. Apparently it's for rip currents. You guys have this happen a lot down there? This is kind of cool. I saw this video. It shows you how a rip current works. Little science lesson in the middle of politics. I hope that dye is, green. Yeah, okay. Moving forward, I guess if you're in Florida, stay out of the water. Justice Department suing Uber for a lot of money, actually. Millions.
New at 10, the Justice Department is suing Uber for $125 million, accusing the company of discriminating against passengers with disabilities. The lawsuit claims Uber violated the Americans with Disabilities Act by denying service to passengers and charging cleaning fees for service animals. Uber said it disagrees with the allegations. The DOJ wants Uber to change its policies, train staff and drivers on ADA compliance, and pay damages to impacted riders.
People are getting picky. It's a nitpicky world we live in. California lawmakers passed a bill barring authorities from wearing face masks. You think the federal authorities can find a way to override this?
Changes could be coming to the way federal agents carry out immigration raids in California. State lawmakers just passed a bill that bans agents from wearing masks. It's now on the governor's desk for his signature.
CBS 8's Kelly Hessedal joins us live from the City Heights Library, where local leaders just unveiled their own regional plan in response to these raids. Kelly?
That's right. And San Diego City Council member Sean Elo Rivera is really spearheading this effort. He says he gets asked from people all the time about what are you going to do about these raids. And he says he wants to do everything legally possible to make sure people's rights are protected. So you're going to hear from him first, and then you're going to hear from La Mesa Vice Mayor Laura Cazares.
Yes, they're so worried about the rights of the illegals. Gaza is basically getting deserted. There's a drove of people heading out south.
بدنا ننزح كمان على خان يونس ومش عارفين ايش بدنا نعمل. حياتنا كلها نزوح وتشريد ومعانا مرضى ومش عارفين وين نروح واي مكان امن مش عارفين.
المستهدفين مش مقاومة مستهدفة، احنا مستهدفين، احنا كمدنيين احنا مستهدفين.
It's too bad. It really does look like it could be a beautiful area right there along the water. Sadly not. There's been a wave of swatting incidents at different college campuses since the Charlie Kirk thing.
Today, at least a dozen schools from coast to coast are working with law enforcement to figure out who sent in fake threats yesterday, targeting students, triggering lockdowns, sending law enforcement onto college campuses with guns drawn.
They told us all to not go to classes, stay inside the dorms. So it was scary.
Several of the targeted institutions are historically black colleges and universities in what officials describe as hoax threats of racially motivated shootings. Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida, went on lockdown yesterday, sending faculty home, telling students to shelter in place, and closing its campus. And classes are still canceled today at Southern University in Louisiana. The FBI says it takes these threats very seriously because it puts innocent people at risk, adding it's working with local, state, and federal partners, but hasn't found any of these threats to be credible. The FBI urges everyone stay vigilant.
It's something as a student you never want to go through because, you never know what could happen.
You know that's got to be connected somehow. I guarantee you, I mean... Either way you want to look at it, but the college campuses are really getting nailed right now. They're just targets all around. I've seen two different things about celebrations for Charlie Kirk. This one about September 14th, which of course is tomorrow, and then at State Farm Stadium, home of the Arizona Cardinals, on the 21st, which is next weekend. So, and that one they say President Trump's supposed to be there. So, I don't know. It's just kind of, maybe it's just two different events, one in D.C., one at the State Farm Stadium. So, there's that I wanted to point out. I've seen this post today. The American people are being set up for a race/political ideology war that will have people begging for increased surveillance and digital ID for safety, secured by a mandatory AI monitor database. Don't fall for the trap. United we stand. It's sort of the 9/11 fear, I guess. Hoping that we would beg for their protection. And I could see how one would think that we're heading down a similar path. There's not much privacy right now, but we're in a war on the other hand, so there is that. People were talking about Charlie Kirk's wife at the event today that she spoke at, and people were saying that they weren't even buying it being his actual wife, that it didn't look like her. I don't know. I can't speak to that. I've only seen a couple quick videos, haven't stopped and had time to really pay attention to this, but something I wanted to point out to you guys that people were saying. It's obviously not the only weird thing about the day. We got a few other things we're going to get into here that were odd. Aside from the Secret Service agent and the FEMA guy, there are actually a lot of people losing their jobs for talking crap about this event.
As you mentioned, this has been happening nationwide, including right here in the Valley. Sports media company PHNX announced they parted ways with their Suns beat reporter after he made a series of tweets about people's reactions to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And just today, Karma Scottsdale, a group fitness studio, announced on Instagram an employee was fired after making posts on their personal account about Kirk's murder. 2 lawyers I spoke with caution that what you put out on social media can have an impact on your job. As news of Charlie Kirk being assassinated made its way to people around the country and the world, the reactions and posts on social media came fast and furious.
It's really becoming very hard to distinguish what is okay and protected that you can't be punished for, and what is not okay and not protected and you cannot be punished for.
Marjorie Mesidor is an employment attorney. Across the country, some teachers, reporters, even a Secret Service agent have been fired or placed on leave for their social media posts about the assassination.
It's a difficult thing to fight. I got fired from a university broadcasting job for a Facebook post a long while back, and these companies, a lot of them hold the right to say that your social media also reflects on the place that you work at or go to school at, or so you gotta really be careful with that stuff. I don't recommend, if you have an account like that, putting where you work on there. Number one, you shouldn't list stuff like that. Some stuff you should just keep to yourself. So the FBI was burning off some meth materials and forced an animal shelter to have to evacuate. Good going, FBI. Thought this was interesting.
It may seem like wash day here at the Yellowstone Valley Animal Shelter, but it's the aftermath of a shocking situation.
We're really, really lucky.
Executive Director Trinity Halverson was sitting outside Wednesday when she noticed a strange smell coming from the building.
The little bit longer that I could smell it, I knew that it was something burning in the crematorium, like the incinerary.
Within minutes, thick smoke filled the building.
Several of my staff were coughing.
We were trying to pull everybody out to get them out of that smoke because there was billowing smoke out of the room.
Employees like Lizette Worthy rushed to evacuate animals to safety, and after several hours, 14 shelter employees went to Billings Clinic to be treated and were shocked to discover what was in the air.
One of our board members got a call from City Administrator Chris Kokolsi, and he let us know that after doing some research, he got confirmation that they were burning methamphetamine.
The incinerary is owned by the city of Billings. While it's regularly used to burn animal remains, each Wednesday law enforcement also uses it to dispose of narcotics. City Assistant Administrator.
Wow. Smart move. You tweaked out a whole building full of secretaries and cats. It's not funny. It's really not funny. I got a few more of these stories to get to, and we'll get into more of these Charlie Kirk conspiracies. There's a whole new load of stuff today. Just keeps going and going. Some American veterans are over in Gaza facing threats from Hamas while trying to deliver aid to Palestinians.
Since I've been here, and I've been here since late May, I have seen a direct correlation to everything I've done in the Army since a private, all the way up to being a sergeant major in the Army.
When this opportunity presented itself, it actually was just a natural fit. I was preparing to go, hopefully try to apply to the VA, start working for them to help other veterans. I saw a need here that I didn't think a lot of people could fill easily.
When we first got out here, this was a complete evolution for us. What we're doing now and what we see now, and the relationships we have now are completely different from when we first started, and that's a result of our ability to work with one another.
It's a noble job to be doing. I didn't know there were American veterans over there helping out with that. very dangerous. Few more things. In Pennsylvania, there's some changes coming to your SNAP program if you happen to live there.
Changes are coming to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP. Fox 43's Kyle Ennis explains what people need to know and who could be affected.
Thousands of Pennsylvanians on the SNAP benefits program may be affected by President Trump's big, beautiful bill. The State Department of Health and Human Services says the program serves meals to 14% of York, Dauphin, and Cumberland counties.
For every one meal we deliver in the Charitable Food Network, SNAP helps families to receive 9 or pay for 9 in a local grocery store.
At Central PA Food Bank, they help those who are food insecure, which impacts 1 in 8 Central Pennsylvanians, beyond programs like SNAP. Officials say demand at the food bank has seen a 6% increase this year and believe that could grow further with the changes. The new requirements apply to 18 to 54-year-olds who are physically and mentally able to work with no dependents. They will be required to work, volunteer, or be a part of an education or training program for 20 hours per week. Even more people will have to meet the new requirements starting in November. Shiloh Ulrich meets those each day who receive food.
It's people.
Yeah, a lot of states are starting to take on those new rules, and they already do that here in Illinois. All right, look at all this Charlie Kirk stuff. There's a lot of posts and videos to go over here. This is one of the things people pointed out that he was working on. Utah Governor Spencer Cox should be expelled from the Republican Party. He's refusing to protect women's sports, signaling he will pander the trans lobby to continue destruction of children. Why? He's likely being paid off by Big Pharma, who makes billions off hormone blockers and chemical castration. This is just one of the many things that Charlie Kirk talked about, though. I don't necessarily get into that too much. You can see how different media groups are already dicking with the narrative. Fatally shot by a fellow conservative at Utah University. I don't believe that would be the case. There was a situation at the Office Depot. A lot of you probably seen that video. It was going around earlier. These guys were just trying to make flyers for a little visual event, and the people that ran this particular Office Depot did not want to make the flyers.
So we came in for an order earlier for the print a poster for a vigil tonight.
Yes,
for somebody that passed. It's not
it's propaganda. I'm sorry, we don't put that here.
Alrighty, so what's your name?
Carol.
I'm print supervisor.
I'm one of the managers.
Yes.
So unfortunately,
so if they say they don't print political propaganda, so this is somebody that passed away a couple years ago.
That's political propaganda, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
So this is for a prayer tonight, for a prayer vigil?
Mm-hmm. It's still propaganda, unfortunately.
What
makes it propaganda? Because he's a political figure, and I don't have to. Yeah.
Our general manager is going to be in on Monday. If you want to speak further on the subject.
And they showed you the poster there in the bottom corner. It was just his name and, 1993 to 2025. That's not political propaganda, If it said, like, fuck Joe Biden on it or something, I could see being a little more iffy. But either way, same situation as with posting your information on social media. You represent a company, and Office Depot, Office Max wasn't too happy about the situation, and they launched an investigation. So there's that at the very least. Another thing people wanted to point out, just people were talking about the guys standing there that they thought were making signals behind Charlie. There was one in black, one in white. Those are both his security team. I get how you could still say, well, maybe he was still making signals, but for a different reason because it was faked. But if you believe it was real. People are just wanting to tell you those were his security team. There's actually a lot of security there from what I noticed. I wanted to show you this.
Or my claim is that Mormonism, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is more historically accurate than Protestantism. Prove me wrong.
Well, you're more aggressive than I would be. First of all, I love Mormons. I've said that forever.
In that video, you can see in the right side there, he's got a security guard and a big guy standing right in front of the audience on that end. So there was quite a bit of a security team there. And I want to show you more. This is before the show.
Grab me out. Hey, yo, grab me out. Let's go up, guys. Come on. Let's go up, guys. I don't know. Let's go. I have no idea. Let's go. Come on, guys. What are you doing? Get the fuck out. Let's go.
What are you doing? Get the fuck out of here. There were guys trying to steal hats. That was before the show. You had two pretty big dudes there run them off. I still want to know who this guy is, because this video is pretty revealing. They were What did that guy do to make everyone around him be wanting to beat the shit out of him? The cops wanting to kind of, I mean, they weren't roughing him up, but they didn't seem happy. What the hell was that? We still haven't gotten a straight answer on that situation. Who the hell was that guy? I thought the video in the intro was kind of interesting, where they were saying that the name George Zen connected to something with 9/11. Let's see, what else do I got here? Stephen Crowder obtained Utah County Sheriff's Office internal documents detailing Tyler Robinson using his phone at 11:53 prior to moving into position. Was he communicating with someone? According to these documents, it sounds like there's a lot more footage we haven't seen. So clearly, we'll know more about that eventually if they can figure out his position and all that crap, but just wanted to point it out. You still know my opinion on all that bit of it, but I lost my place. So clearly the transgender narrative came into play. I'm sure you've all seen that by now today. That was not what I wanted to show you, though. Unorganized today. The Israel narrative is quite interesting, I admit. Candace Owens said a couple things. Bibi Netanyahu lied about the contents of the letter Charlie wrote to him in May. It was a lie by severe omission, and it isn't sitting right with me. He held the letter in his hand and propagandized it. He should publish the entire thing. And she's talking about Benjamin Netanyahu lying on TV right after this happened. I'll go ahead and show you that real quick. Man, I got a lot more here than I thought I did.
Netanyahu in Focus Now. Prime Minister, you have your own memories of Charlie Kirk. Please share them.
Well, Harris, before I do that, I have to say that we're just heartbroken. Myself, my wife, my family, my son, actually, on his 2019 visit to Israel, had lunch with him and his wife, Erica. We're shattered first as human beings because a great human being has been taken from us. Was an extraordinary friend. He said, he wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization. A few weeks before the tragedy yesterday, I called him and I spoke to him and I said, please come to Israel. I invited him to Israel. And sadly, that visit will not take place. But he was a defender of our common Judeo-Christian civilization. He was unbelievably excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus here. He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel. He did so many things to defend free speech. He had his truth. He stood up for it. But he said, you can come and debate me. He invited that debate. He certainly didn't invite the violence, the horrible violence that tried to silence him. And, this is a worldwide problem. The people on the extremes, the Islamists, the radical Islamists, and their union with the ultra progressives, they often.
Well, you get the point about the letter at the very least. Can't remember what this was.
He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel. He did so many things to defend free speech. He had his truth. He stood up for it. But he said, you can come and debate me. He invited that debate. He certainly didn't invite the violence, the horrible violence that tried to.
Sorry about that.
And Jewish donors, they have a lot of explaining to do, a lot of decoupling to do, because Jewish donors have been the number one funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies, cultural institutions, and nonprofits. This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews, and they're like, what on earth happened? And it's not just the colleges. It's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it. It's like time for you guys to wake up and say no more.
So he was being very vocal about Israel on that end, too. A couple people put this out. Candace Owens, to start with. Charlie Kirk was fighting with some very powerful billionaires that he took money from over things he was discussing. The pressure on him was immense over the last 2 weeks. And we talked about that yesterday, about how Turning Point had taken money from Israel at some point. But again, he started this when he was really young. The truth will be revealed. The messages will be leaked, and the movement he built will rise up. Charlie was about to lose his last major donor because he refused to ban Tucker Carlson from events. There are a lot of people shedding crocodile tears. The billionaires must be exposed for the cretins that they are. That's just some of the Candace Owens stuff. This was a post from Vincent Kennedy. It was interesting. To become president or vice president, you need to be 35. Charlie was 31, turning 32 in October. By 2028 elections, he would have been 35. Makes you wonder, maybe he will come back and run for president. And again, you don't have to agree with me or disagree with me on what happened. I know people are getting really pissy about it right now. Couple other videos that we need to look at, though, while we're on the subject. Did Charlie know? Well, this was an interesting video that was released. People made a couple allegations that he had talked to the shooter. People had made allegations that he made eye contact with someone on the roof.
Did you notice Charlie Kirk kept glancing to his right before he was killed? He spotted 3 warning signs but chose to ignore them. Recently, Charlie was attacked after saying his last words at a rally at Utah Valley University and died 2 hours after being treated in the hospital. Just as everyone was in deep sorrow, a strange detail was noticed. Charlie kept looking towards the tall building on the right while speaking, which sparked a heated discussion. Some believe he sensed the danger. The direction he kept watching was exactly where the killer stood, but with so many people around, Charlie ignored it and pushed through his speech. Another chilling sign came when an audience member asked him about past violence in America. Charlie didn't answer right away. He hesitated, as if he knew finishing his thought would cost him his life. When he whispered, "Does gang violence count?" his life ended seconds later. And the most haunting part before his death, Charlie's wife posted something eerie online, "God is our refuge," alongside a black and white family photo. It feels like Charlie knew the end was coming and had already asked her to leave behind his final goodbye.
So that's one side of things, and obviously you can take that two different ways. Either he knew it was coming because he faked it, or he sensed that he was pushing too far with some things. A couple things about the weapon. I can't remember what this is about.
The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this?" ? Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist!" ! Catch! ! Up arrow symbol, right arrow, and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow."
All right, we know all that. That has to do with the Antifa stuff. Check out this release today.
God bless you.
Now, this video made even the strongest believers that it was real turn back around and take a second look at this. I mean, that's a weird video posted by his wife.
I love you.
I mean,
I love you.
Maybe that's not
I love you.
weird to some of you, but pay attention. Look at the tone. I mean, I know it's supposed to be someone that's dead. I know I get the point. Your skin changes a bit, but he was a lot darker than her. If you watch the video after this, they show some clips together. I mean, those are fake hands. I'm sorry, but those are fake hands. His hands were pretty big. I thought that was pretty weird. Someone, I don't know if she released this one too. Or someone else just put it together. It doesn't even make sense. That was a weird video, okay? I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's not weird to somebody grieving, but let's look at this one.
Alrighty, this message is for President Trump and his administration. If you stay to watch the video, please tag him down below, share, and repost so we can try to get this to him as quickly as possible and hope that he can do something with this. President Trump, as a supporter who voted for you 3 times, I am hoping and praying that you will revisit what Barack Obama and Joe Biden got rid of back in 2013, which is the Smith-Lund Act, which held news corporations accountable for lying to the American people and spreading propaganda instead of truth. I think instead of bringing it back as the Smith-Mundt Act, you name it the Charlie Kirk Act, you make it a law, and you make it damn near impossible for these people to continue to lie to the American public, which has brought chaos, hatred, division, and anarchy all across this country. Fines out the ass, which will damn near bankrupt their companies should they lie to the American.
Now, I'm sharing this because Trump did repost this. It did make it to Trump, and he reposted it.
And people ever again. They can have their opinions, that's fine. They need to state that it is their opinion and that it is not a fact. Because of their constant lies, a man lost his life over it. Because of the constant hateful rhetoric of calling him a fascist and a Nazi and a white supremacist and a bigot, the same thing that they've called you, this man is dead. I think this would be a great legacy for him to have a law named after him to force journalists to finally start telling the truth and having the integrity that they have lacked for over a decade. I hope that this gets to you. I hope that you think about it and that you pass it into law. Because we are on a dangerous path right now with the constant lies and the propaganda, and that doesn't end just at news journalists. It needs to go to content creators who consistently spread lies and propaganda and half-truths across the internet. This needs to end, and people need to start being held accountable for baseless claims over absolute abysmal things. It needs to end. So please, if you have it in your heart to have the time to do that.
You kind of get the point there, and she's right about the rhetoric.
Propaganda from Russia, China, and Iran. Senator Portman said this about the act at the time, quote, "Surprisingly, there is currently no single U.S. governmental agency or department charged with the national level deployment, integration, and synchronization of whole-of-government strategies to counter foreign propaganda and disinformation." Again, that was in 2016. See, this bipartisan bill established an interagency center housed at the State Department. Its job is to coordinate and to synchronize counter-propaganda efforts throughout the U.S. government. Okay, but it actually does much more than that. It also creates a grant program for NGOs, for think tanks, and civil society as well as those who are already engaged in, quote, counter-propaganda related work. But let's be clear, this concept was actually sold as countering propaganda. But here's the thing. If government agencies put out or fund information that is disseminated to the public for the purpose of altering or controlling a point of view, isn't that the very definition of propaganda? Because in fact, the definition of propaganda is this, quote, information, ideas, or rumors deliberately spread widely to help or harm a person, group, movement, institution, nation, etc. So this law funds U.S. propaganda against its own citizens. Now, before you object and say, wait, that can't be true because it's illegal for the U.S. to propagandize its own citizens, well, you were right. It was. Until 5 years ago. In 2013, that version of the National Defense Authorization Act removed a ban on U.S. government creating and then showing propaganda to U.S. citizens. That ban had been in place since 1948, and the 2013 amendment struck down a ban on domestic dissemination of material produced by the State Department and the Independent Broadcasting Board of Governors. See, it neutralized the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948 and the Foreign Relations Authorization Act of 1987, which have been passed to protect U.S. audiences from our own government's misinformation campaigns. So what you need to know is that in 2013, when that act passed, most media said, don't worry, because even though it is now legal for the U.S. government to create propaganda, there's no funding mechanism. In 2016, the funding mechanism was added. And now in 2018, the head of the NSA says there is a weaponized information war with Russia and China. What you need to know is that there is a reason why for over 60 years it was illegal for the U.S. government to propagandize the public. Because forget about Russia, forget about China. That law was in place to protect our public from our own government. So what's the answer here? Well, how about the media in America just tells the truth, just reports facts, does not act as arms of political parties on the right or left, doesn't act as a mouthpiece for government institutions. If we want to combat propaganda, both foreign and domestic, then we should be pushing for a free and open system that informs the public rather than trying to control what they believe. That's Reality Check. Let's talk about that right now on social media.
So there's that. I wanted to look at this new Reese report video and see how it ties into this. I'm being careful because I think one of these got my video removed once.
There were many involved in 9/11. The Pentagon, the executive branch, and the CIA, and several people with prior knowledge were heavily invested and made small fortunes when thousands were murdered that day by their own government. And then there was Israel. The dancing Israelis who posed for pictures in front of the burning towers told the FBI that Israel now has hope that the world will understand us. The news media caught the same sentiment from a smiling Israeli girl on 9/11.
Well, big catastrophe, and I'm Israeli, and I hope that now people understand what we have to deal with, the kind of people that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
Over 100 Israelis were arrested after 9/11. They were trained in military intelligence and explosives, posing as art students with fake IDs and infiltrating government buildings. And they were all let go, including over a dozen who were living in the World Trade Center as part of the World Views Artist in Residence program. They occupied floors 90 and 91, where walls were unfinished and structural beams were exposed. The same floors that American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into later that year. The U.S. government response to 9/11 was to destabilize the Middle East and to start viewing the American people as domestic terrorists. This is known as a false flag and often involves a government being complicit in the murder of its own people and then blaming it.
I think you guys know how that works. I want to move on because we got a lot to get to still. I wanted to see if this allegation holds anything.
Charlie Kirk's death was no random tragedy. It was the opening act of a manufactured civil war, orchestrated down to the last frame. Inside stamped folders leaked from the CIA and NASA are memos, timelines, and kill chains. A plan so clinical, it reads like a script. Assassinate the loudest voices in America on live TV, amplify the shock, and turn grief into a weapon. As the nation lights candles and points fingers, the paper trail shows this didn't happen overnight. It was plotted for years. 2025 wasn't random, it was the target date chosen by the globalists to sharpen division in America into something irreversible. Tonight, we tear open those files. We follow the architects, the dates, the back-channel meetings. We don't preach, we have the receipts. We show you what's written in black and white. If you think this is paranoia, you're exactly who they counted on. If you think you already know the truth, think again. Before we get into all of that, let's talk about staying one step ahead of the deep state via our partner VP.net. VP.net isn't just another VPN, it's the next evolution in private browsing, built with unbreakable zero-logging architecture. That means no records, no traces. Literally nothing for governments, deep state operatives, or foreign bad actors to seize, even if they're plotting to drag us into a civil war. Your data, it stays locked down forever. No compromises. The suspect in the killing of Charlie Kirk has been named as Tyler Robinson, now locked up without bail in a Utah jail. But the story of being fed is already cracking. The official narrative says he carried out the hit with a Mauser rifle, but video shows him bolting from the rooftop empty-handed, just seconds after the shots. And weapons experts are clear. You can't break down and reassemble a Mauser on the move in a matter of seconds. So if Robinson didn't pull the trigger the way the FBI claims, the question isn't just what happened, it's why are they lying to us about it? The FBI's official narrative stretches credibility even further, by claiming the rifle was recovered in the woods with its barrel fully...
Yeah, there's kind of a good picture of a Mauser I wanted to show you. This is what I was going to show you. It's a Mauser bolt action as well, 30-06 with a scope. It's a heavy gun. It doesn't break down easily. Even if you break the barrel off, take the barrel off in two, you've got a huge stock there. Let's say this is the one they found in the woods. The scope's on there. How would he put the barrel back on, then the scope, then keep running? What sense does that make? You have to take the scope off first, then the barrel, break it down, throw it in your pants, jump off the roof, go into the woods, put it all back together, barrel, then the scope, put it in the box, then keep running. Makes no sense whatsoever.
reinstalled. That would mean the suspect somehow disassembled and then reassembled a Mauser, a process that is anything but quick or simple, all while fleeing the scene. Conservative commentator Michael Savage is calling foul on the FBI's account of the shooting, saying we're not hearing or seeing reality, and declaring the official narrative reeks of a staged event.
Now, the Mauser does not break down very easily, incidentally, for those of you who know weapons. Something's wrong with the whole thing. They're trying to claim he removed the barrel from the Mauser and fit the receiver and stock in his backpack and barrel in his pants leg all in 2 seconds. It is not easy to remove a Mauser barrel or index it after reinstalling and remain accurate. We are not hearing or seeing reality. And by the way, the photo of the rifle allegedly left in the woods has the barrel installed. So we're supposed to believe a guy is on the run after killing Charlie Kirk, and he pauses in the woods to reinstall a barrel, and then he leaves it for us to find, the FBI to find. I don't believe a word of it. I shouldn't do this. I know I'm putting myself at risk, but I can't take it anymore. I can't take the bullshit from this fucking government. It's lying to us. Something's wrong. Something's so wrong.
That's the difference between me and him there. He thinks it's a sign that something's wrong, that the Trump government's fooling you. I think it's a sign that there's something they plan to do something bigger. Maybe the Smith-Munn Act will come from it, or the repeal or whatever. Maybe it'll be about designating Antifa as a terrorist organization that'll lead to the Muslim Brotherhood, that may even lead back to Israel, probably lead back to Obama. I don't know. It's all part of RICO. It's a big deal. A lot going. But you know what? We will yield to the experts. We're going to see what Juan has to say about it. I just don't know how you'd break. I mean, it's not an easy breakdown. It's not an easy breakdown at all. So maybe that helps change a few opinions. I really didn't want to spend much time on it all, but we needed to. All right, we're going to turn to Juan. We'll go from there tonight. I'll bring this up. I may have to fast forward a little.